So we leave the press conference for the penultimate race of the weekend for the Galaxy Entertainment Macau GT Cup because already the presentation of drivers for the Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix is underway, and all of the build-up, you can see the tension ropes that are down there to keep the huge amount of photographers to one side of the presentation to the drivers, and also of course for the organising body. A thank you to all of them ahead of the race for all the hard work that has gone in to ensuring we can run the 69th running of the Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix. Part of this presentation will be the traditional lion dance, which is always a highlight leading up to the start of the Formula 4 race. And this tradition, the dotting of the I's, bringing good luck to the race, to the track, and all part of the traditional build-up to the Macau Grand Prix. The painting of the tongue as well, and then we will enjoy an incredible athletic lion dance, hugely colourful and hugely entertaining. Absolutely fantastic. Every year this is a traditional build-up to the start of the race. A hugely athletic presentation as well. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and appreciated by not only the organising committee but also the government dignitaries that are down there on the grid as well. And this is a huge build-up to the Grand Prix. They will take their position in the grandstand just opposite the start-finish line, and it's a moment that for young drivers, all of a sudden you realise you're part of something which is a very, very big deal indeed. A lot of people down there on the grid, rather overwhelming for a young driver that's not seen this kind of build-up before. But over the years, of course, we've had so many drivers that have gone on to have world-famous Formula One careers. I remember just a few years ago, we had the likes of George Russell, Lando Norris here at the Macau Grand Prix. It's one that you want to add to your list of achievements over the course of a single-seater career. And with the completion of the lion dance, we didn't hear from the end of the press conference because we have a rather tight timetable today after squeezing in a motorcycle Grand Prix right at the start of this morning on Grand Prix Day, which was not expected. That means that the traditional special event that we have for the Grand Prix Day had to be unfortunately taken out of the timetable, and it has been a very short gap in between racing this afternoon. But this is the build-up to the final race of the weekend, the Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix Race 2 over 12 laps of the gear circuit here at Macau, and that is coming up next.
History about to be made. The 69th Macau Grand Prix is set to get underway. In the next few minutes, the Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix. The grid is formed. Drivers out of their cars. They've been introduced to the fans. We've had the lion dance. And so now eyes are turning to Gerard Shi, the man that's had 7 wins out of 8 races within the Formula 4 China Championship, and the man with him at the front of the grid, Charles Leung, who is looking to try and add to his 2 wins and go into history as a triple winner. There, third on the grid, is Andy Chang, who did briefly lead until he made a mistake the qualifying race yesterday and starts third on the grid. So there's a lot to look forward to here. We had a really good race yesterday that gave that win to Gerard Shi, but don't necessarily think that he's going to have it all his own way here.
Certainly not. It's a thrill, isn't it, as the VIPs come onto the grid. The final opportunity for a grid walk after the dotting of the I's of the Lion by Mr. Ho Yat Seng, Chief Executive of the Macau Special Administrative Region, and all of that part of the build-up to the final race of the weekend here at Macau.
It's Royce Yu getting himself ready to go. He will start 5th on the grid, and there is the man that is 4th. 3rd last year, Li Cheng, and he's another driver to watch. They're all in the same car, the Macau M14 F4 chassis. They've all got Geely engines, they've all got Kumho tyres, so it is a really level playing field. It's down to the best driver and team combination to get the most out of the package. Lining up 7th on the grid is number 9, which is Liu Qingxi, who has been racing in Chinese F4 for a good number of seasons now, so knows these cars pretty well. Knows the art of single-seater racing as well. Number 4 is Lin Li Feng, who's raced GT cars and touring cars as well as F4. And again, one of the elements, we talked about it over the weekend, Alan, with this becoming a rather more local race. There you see Brian Lee, another example of what I'm about to say, because he's been racing GT cars this year. It gives an opportunity for, if you like, the amateur driver, the less experienced driver, dare one say the older driver even, to come and have a go in the Grand Prix itself. Opportunities to do that where it's an international F3 race just wouldn't be there.
And why would you not? If you are a driver from the region, if you are in a GT car or a touring car over the course of the year, and there's an opportunity with a team, there's a car available and you can race at the biggest race in the area for the whole of the year, why would you not get into a Formula 4 car and see what the experience is all about? Well, it's all about not just the race, but it's about this. It's about really being a star on the world stage of motorsport, and that is exactly what they get the opportunity to do.
That's the car of Lu Duan, another regular GT race out of the China Endurance Championship. Henry Lee Jr., who had a big accident, didn't he, in qualifying?
He did.
He's okay, and he's bounced back.
He's got a big smile on his face. Yes. So that's all well forgotten.
And Patrick Sang there at the back of the grid, who didn't start yesterday's race, also because of damage in qualifying, but it's good to have him on the grid for the Grand Prix itself.
So, the highlights of the afternoon. The crowd are ready to be entertained. Over 12 laps of the gear circuit here at Macau. We've been talking about it being very much a family event. There's proof of it. Happy faces in the grandstand, about to be thrilled around the gear circuit here at Macau. And you're right, the first thing you said, David, was history in the making. Could be a hat-trick of wins for Charles Leung.
The dignitaries have arrived, taken their seats, studying the race programme, and getting ready for the race to get underway. They'll be in the formation lap. Although we had to curtail some of the action within the GT race, it was down from 12 to 8 laps. This will go, at least it is scheduled to go, to the full 12. So it's not being reduced. It's going to start a little bit behind, but not massively, so it can be put into the day before we have to open the roads and the light goes. We have time on our side on Grand Prix Day.
It's a good idea to have the overhead shot, because the amount of people that are down there at the front, we couldn't see any of the cars, could we? None of them at all. And that's confirmation of the grid as it will start. Gerard Shi, who took the race win rather spectacularly yesterday in the battle with Charles Leung, and Andy Chang finishing up third on the podium yesterday, third on the grid today. Li Su Cheng are in car number 27, second row of the grid. And then as we go back through the order, I think we predicted rather at the start of the weekend that it was going to be a battle over the course of the 4 days between Charles Leung, Gerard Shi and Andy Chang. They are the top 3 on the grid.
So the grid now being cleared of extraneous personnel, drivers clambering into cars. Gerard Shi then has got quite a lot of pressure on him in a sense, because he comes here with a really good reputation. He has been an absolute star in the Formula 4 China Championship. He has been an absolute star in the Formula Renault Super Challenge. He leads both championships, 7 wins out of 8 races, 4 pole positions out of the first 4 qualifying sessions as well for Gerard Shi. So there's pressure. Charles Leung alongside him on the front row, twice a winner. The last 2 Grand Prix won by Charles Leung. Could make history by taking 3. Pressure on him as well. So the fight between them is going to be one to save.
Now the tension begins to build, because we are in the final stages as the various guests are invited to leave and clear the grid, and just to leave the officials and the team members down there. 16 years old is Gerard Shi, and all of this to a 16-year-old could potentially be slightly overwhelming, couldn't it? Starting on pole position for the biggest race of the year, all of the build up to the race. This is on a trajectory to a professional racing career, and what better way to give a boost to that path for the career than to have your name as a winner at the Macau Grand Prix. We shall find out after 12 laps, which are about to very soon get underway. There were still quite a few promotional people down there on the grid getting a last few photographs, and a couple of drivers not yet with helmets on, still posing for a few more photographs, including the double winner over the last 2 years, Charles Leung. So the helmet standing by for a few of the drivers, including the car of Liu Jingxi, Chinese driver, about to get the balaclava on.
Just composing his thoughts, isn't he, as well, as he looks down that pit straight, that fast straight, into a fast corner, into another fast straight, into another fast corner, into another fast straight, down to Lisboa. We've had plenty of drama today on that first third of the lap, and it's going to be really interesting to see what pans out here. There is Charles Leung then. So yesterday we saw him lose the race lead in qualifying. We saw him make a mistake and go off at the Melco hairpin. So it hasn't been a walk in the park for Charles Leung, and he's been out of these cars this season as well. He's not done the Chinese Championship, therefore although he's racing here he's not eligible for points, but he's got to get himself used to this car once again.
See that deep intake of breath. The magnitude of the event does get to you, even if you're a double winner. And just getting the helmet on, getting comfy, all part of the build-up to the Macau Grand Prix.
So there's Gerard Shee on board, just having the mirrors adjusted because he hopes he'll be using those to see where Charles Leung is behind him rather than having to be attacking him for the race lead. And the pressure is on him to make a good start here. So with the dark horse, if you like, of Andy Chang behind. Now, Andy ended up on pole position after the qualifying session for yesterday's race, made that mistake at Lisboa, went up the escape road, didn't he, and had to fight his way back through. So dare one say that this is a more open race than we've had for the last couple of years.
I expect that it's going to be a spirited start by Andy Chang. It was a spirited race in second place last year pursuing Charles Leung, but up until that problem yesterday, having started on pole position, he'd been really the benchmark for the field over the course of the weekend.
I've got to say, I'm a big fan of F4 around here because the cars are narrower, they are able to overtake, they are able to run together. The toe matters, and yesterday's race was a really good one. So let's hope that the Grand Prix is able to deliver as good a race.
Yeah, and the fact that the toe matters gave us some quite spectacular pictures yesterday when they were on the wide, quick part of the circuit of Formula 4 drivers trying to break the toe.
Yeah.
And that made for fairly dramatic television pictures, didn't it?
Good indeed. Right, the countdown continues then. 5-minute board shown. And it'll be at the 1-minute board that the engines fire, but now everybody else starts to make their way off the grid.
Just officials and team members are now down on the grid now, so all of the promotional staff, the guests, and maybe a chance for a last-minute photograph. I think that's what they're doing as they leave the grid, because this is a chance in a lifetime when you're on the grid for the Macau Grand Prix, and they're making absolutely the most of it, aren't they?
Indeed so. Indeed so. And the engineers that are allowed to stay will be there so they can fire up the engine with the slave battery, tighten the belts of the driver, make sure he's happy. Any last-minute adjustments, tweaks to the mirror. Of course, the engineer leans in, doesn't want to knock that mirror. So make sure that his driver is happy. These cars don't have the halo device, but they have that cockpit surround support. That's screwed into place.
Yeah, this is the initial version of the Formula 4 car with the introduction of the second generation FIA Formula 4 car around the world this year. The cars look much more akin to the FIA Formula 3 cars with the halo and all of the changed bodywork on the cars.
See how they have to be so tightly strapped in. Pull and pull and pull again on the belts to make sure that there's no give. And there is Gerard Shee, then the man on pole position. Had an excellent drive yesterday, really impressive. And he gets pole position, he gets the 1 length advantage as well over Charles Leung. He's going to have to make a good start, no question about that, because it's going to be a really fierce fight. The 1-minute board now is shown.
And now this is the first time that the drivers can begin to think about the start of the race, begin to think about being on their own on the grid. There's been so many people around them, only now it's them, the car, and their thoughts to get themselves absolutely ready for the start of the race.
Yeah, 3-minute board. Sorry, I was getting ahead of myself. I want this race to get underway because I'm intrigued to see what pans out. So calm, Addison, calm. 3 minutes to go. But yeah, the grid is being cleared. Media scuttle away, and so in a moment or two it'll be a much emptier grid, and as you rightly say, the drivers and their thoughts will remain going into battle then. It's a high-speed circuit, they know it can bite, they've seen it happen over the course of the weekend for this event, plus other races today, but a three-way fight for honours with others ready to pick up the pieces if it all goes south for the fancied 3 at the front. It's going to be really interesting, this, as you peer through the wire netting and see number 11, Charles Leung, the last two Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix, he has stood on the top step of the podium, but it's going to be a tall order to make it 3 in a row. It could happen, but it ain't going to be easy, that is for certain.
Never easy. Nothing is easy around the 6.2 kilometre circuit at Macau. Least of all the pressure of potentially having your name on the trophy at the end of the Macau Grand Prix. Last few cameramen running off the grid suggest that they've been told off. They need to get off the grid nice and quickly.
And if they're not, they're going to be joined shortly by the last of the mechanics. There's a bit of air being blown into the car of Gerard Shea. So keep the drivers cool. That should be the one that board. That's the sound. So now engines fire on the grid. They'll be given, of course, the final formation lap, a chance to get some warmth into these Kumho tyres on which everybody will be running. And there is the grid. Okay, it may not be the biggest, 14 cars, but of course it is going to be a competitive race, and importantly it keeps alive the single-seater tradition of the event, and of course maintains therefore the flow of the Macau Grand Prix, this 69th edition, and everybody hoping that the world is able to come back to Macau far more easily next year for the 70th anniversary event.
It's been looking a lot more like a normal Macau Grand Prix weekend. It's been extended compared to recent years, the last couple of years, back to its normal 4-day duration. We've had international world driving stars in GT coming back to Macau because they wanted to, and it's looking a lot more like a normal Grand Prix weekend, isn't it, this year? Who is going to win the Macau Grand Prix for 2022? Off on their formation lap, weaving the cars, heat into the tyres. And is it going to be this young man, 16 years of age, starts from pole position? Gerard Shea leads the field around. Double winner, Charles Lerm, just behind green number 11 Shea. And the red car of Andy Chang, after starting on pole yesterday, having a problem, working his way back through the field. I'm so glad those three are at the front.
Yeah. And any one of them could win, absolutely. And, of course, if there's a tangle, any of those behind can pick up the pieces. Yes. So it really is fascinating. But it's, as I say, it's a more competitive, pointy end than we had last year for sure. I know two of the drivers are the same, but the pace of Andy Chang has been better. And you've got Gerard Shea, who's quicker than the other two anyway, to throw into the mix. So a lot to look forward to as the cars then head up San Francisco Hill.
And you made the point, David, about Formula 4 cars against Formula 3 cars and the comparisons. The big one, visually, it's the size. And when they're into this part of the circuit, the narrow part of the circuit, the Formula 4 cars fit in very well, don't they?
They do, and also the Formula 3 race always used to be an end-of-season shootout to show you who was the best. And you have the German, the British, the Italian, the Japanese championships, for example, all coming together with the star drivers. Well, we haven't had that in the last few years of Formula 3 because there aren't regional championships anymore. There is one Grand Prix supporting series, so it just becomes a non-championship race. Now, of course, even for that to happen, ignore travel for a moment. If that's what's going to happen in the future, you've got to factor in the Formula 1 Grand Prix calendar and whether Formula 3 would be a support race if there were a clashing Grand Prix. Yes, yeah. So, personally, I can see a future for F4 here in advance of this year because you've got more and more countries being able to run to comparable car engine regulations, so you can have a proper shootout between Germans, Italians, British, the Japanese F4, pick a nation. It'll go onto one grid and sort of recreate what we used to have.
Well, Formula 4 cars have already got a place in the heart of the Macau Grand Prix because without them we wouldn't have had a Grand Prix in 2020 and 2021. So we are extremely grateful that we've been able to carry on running this event. So much has gone on behind the scenes. And also, of course, the other thing is with the FIA Formula 3 cars, it's a huge logistical operation to get them all over here. They are cars that have one home, a home in Europe, and they need to come out here. So that whole process, that's really difficult.
And of course, the event that was built up on the Formula 3 side by the late Barry Bland reached such a level of prestige that has to be maintained as well. So do you do that by continuing in Formula 3, or do you go to a different level of car but attract a more international lineup? Well, discuss, and I'm sure the Macau Grand Prix Corporation will do so, but equally, it's not just what you want for the event, it's what you can have, and that is affected by budget, it's affected by the travel restrictions that still are in certain parts of the world. So the future of the event, well, as Alan's been saying, we're getting more through the regular Macau field. One thing that you can guarantee, whether it's a Formula 4 or a Formula 3 car, is that everybody on this grid wants to win, and you are in for a dramatic race. There have been plenty of fantastic showdowns over the years. Expect another one. The 69th Macau Grand Prix, the Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix, heading up towards the completion of the formation lap, and then 12 racing laps in prospect. Towards the grid come the last handful of cars. Number 14 there, Brian Lee, the largely black car. Brian, who's been a class winner in GT4 in the GT World Challenge Asia competition this season. Again, this nature of the event this year, offering local drivers a chance to be in the Grand Prix rather than in one of the touring car or GT races. They can be in the Grand Prix itself. Right, course car slot into place at the back. The green flag is shown to say that everybody has returned from the formation lap. The drivers now look towards that lighting gantry. 5 lights go red. The Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix is go. Good start by Gerard Sheen. Not a great start by Andy Chang in comparison. And Li Chen gets up the inside line there in the black car to go third into turn 1. Drama in the background, 1 in the wall. And so we've got a car with broken suspension rattling off the fence in the background as Gerard Sheen leads the way. Charles Leung right in the wheel tracks. Everybody knows the importance here of getting a tow. That's the car that's out of the race, and he's going to have to be retrieved as the leaders then go down towards Lisboa for the first time. Gerard Shee, it is just with the advantage. Charles Leung sitting right in his wheel tracks, but Gerard Shee has covered off the inside line. Leung goes to the outside. Gerard Shee tries to defend. Leung can't duck up the inside line, but do they make the corner? The answer is yes.
Yeah, that's good news, and Andy Chang has recovered as well, so he's there in third place and in touch with the back of Charles Leung's car, and Li Cheng is there in fourth place as well. Up they go, San Francisco Hill. That's quite a rise, that hill of San Francisco, and as Ling Li Feng runs away from the car, that car will require a recovery. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, race winner from yesterday, and therefore the pole sitter, Gerard Shee, is fending off the attentions of Charles Leung, but he's right there.
Safety car is going to be deployed because of that car sitting in the road then, so Lin Li Feng's car needs retrieval, and the laps count within the 12 for the safety car, so Gerard Shee slows the pace, sees the board, sees the flags. And this is what happened. Well, the accident's already started, really. It happened before they came into the corner, so almost NASCAR style, but without quite the same outcome. You've got there Lin Li Feng rattling around the barriers, and again, I think you'll find that the accident's happened as he comes into shot here. This is the scene on the first lap as the cars went through the corner. Yeah, coming into Reservoir Bend, wasn't it, where the contact happened, and it spat him right into the barriers, but sadly Lin Li Feng, who was 14th last year, is in retirement even at turn 1 this year.
So we're going to restart early on in the 69th running of the Macau Grand Prix. Once again, weaving the cars side to side. Temperature in tyres is what's required, and the plan for the recovery of that stricken Formula 4 car is underway. Meanwhile, the field head at a slower pace up towards the Melco hairpin, turn through that tight. See, the Formula 4 cars look as if they handle the Melco hairpin with consummate ease,
yeah,
don't they?
Yeah.
Because they're littler. Not
narrow simple cars, yeah, you're right. And they look like proper racing cars, of course. They are with the slicks and wings configuration. Now, of course, the next generation of F4 car has the halo device, so even more akin to Formula 1. All those tyre marks showing you where we've lost GT cars and touring cars into the barriers over the course of the weekend. And maybe we're not done yet with the drama as the car of Lin Li Feng is removed. So Gerard Shee up towards the end of lap 1, still weaving around to maintain the warmth in the tyres, to try and keep the pressures up as well, ready for the restart. And he has got Charles Leung then sitting on his tail. Charles, who was the 2017 Asian Formula Renault champion. He was also the 2017 China F4 champion. He's a double F4 Grand Prix winner, so he knows what he's doing in one of these cars. He's a more experienced single-seater campaigner than is Gerard Shee, but Gerard just looked really impressive yesterday. Good racecraft, and he's there at the head of the pack right now. Was able to repel the challenge of Charles Leung with some very good defensive driving offline and on cold tyres on that first lap.
16 years old is Gerard Shee. Charles Leung, 21 years of age, and 26 for Andy Chang. That's the top three. Andy not getting the best of starts. Didn't get the best of starts yesterday either, did he? So maybe the more you think about the start, the more tricky it becomes for Andy Chang. However, the recovery happened. He's there in third place. He's going to get a restart, so that's good news as well. Lisa Cheng in fourth place. And all of them making the most of the width of the circuit here to maintain the warmth. There we go, one dolly required on the right rear of the stricken car. A little bit of debris to be dealt with down there as well. But, maybe we're going to be lucky to get the safety car in at the end of this lap.
It might be, because as we know, it's a long lap, and the marshal's working away. They're possibly able to get that car across the circuit to pit exit, aren't they? Which is exactly what's happening. And those dollies have also been a good introduction, haven't they? You don't need to wait for a recovery vehicle. You could just jack it up and push it across the road. So well done. We could go racing this time.
There we go. The car behind the barriers, and the marshals ever efficient here at Macau. Can be very happy with a speedy recovery of that car. Cars with broken suspension always present the most tricky of recoveries, don't they? And the little dollies are a very simple answer to that.
Absolutely right. So now the weaving continues to get the warmth back into the tyres, get the pressures back up so they operate exactly as you need them to when we go racing once more. Gerard Shee leads the way, Charles Leung second, Andy Chang third, and as the field comes then down towards the Solitude S's, this second lap of the race, hopefully the only safety car lap we're going to have to worry about is not quite at completion, but we're getting through it, and the driver's eager then to go racing once more.
I reckon we might at the end of this lap.
Yes.
I reckon we might. There we go,
just
confirmation.
By race control, yeah.
So safety car in at the end of this lap. That's going to be 2 laps completed at the end of this lap. It's been a busy weekend, quite a few miles covered by that Lamborghini Urus, the safety car.
I think which was secret. It's had to refuel.
I'm sure it has. Maybe more than once.
It has been very busy, you're right. And it's been driven hard, might need some new brake pads as well. The way that it had to push on in the earlier GT race to keep the pack behind was pretty impressive. Right, okay, we're good to go. Through the hairpin, and then downhill they will drop out of the Macau hairpin on towards Black Sands, and then ready to get racing back underway here at the Macau Gear Circuit. The Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix about to get back underway then, as jinking left and right, Gerard Shee is ready to pounce. Andy Chang knows that he needs to be on the back of Charles Leung and try and get a toe from him. Also, Gerard Shee will know that if he can get Chang to squabble with Leung, that's going to give him a chance to break away. So there's an awful lot that's on the line here when we go back racing. You can see how vigorously people are weaving to get the warmth in the rubber as Gerard Shee now comes down to Fisherman's. So the safety car up the road. He's about to dive for the pit lane. A well-earned break, and then the race is going to get back underway as through towards us comes Gerard Shee. Then the advantage that he had when they crossed the line was half a second, but it doesn't really matter because we were heading to safety car conditions anyway. But right now, he's backed everybody up. He will control when he accelerates away, which is now coming into the corner and tries to break away, which he does by about a length, and that might just break the toe over Charles Leung, so he can't necessarily fight back as they come down towards Lisboa. So the green flag flies, we go racing once more, and you can see the way that Gerard Schee's moving around the road to try to break that aerodynamic toe that he's giving to the car behind.
Watch how much he has to use the mirrors as well to make sure that he's able to break the toe. Again, he's trying to shake off the attentions of Charles Leung through the incredibly quick Mandarin. Down on the run now towards the overtaking place at Lisboa.
And Chang is coming back at the pair. He's got a mega toe as well. Leung thinks about the inside line. There's no gap. There's no gap. He's going to try it. He's going to force the issue. It doesn't work, but wide goes Gerard Schee, and Charles Leung couldn't quite nip up the inside coming out of the corner. That was very, very close to spelling the disaster, that, but they just about got away without contact. But you can see the desperation in Charles Leung.
Phew. Quite amazing that we got away with that one. And the top three continue in the same order. Wow, that was getting very, very tight indeed, wasn't it, into Lisboa? Because they all three knew that was the most ideal opportunity that potentially they could get race long. Let's see what happens as the race unfolds. They're on that 3 out of 12. There's plenty of time for more action to take place, but on this section, it's just broken free, hasn't he? Charles Leung has dropped back a little bit. When I say a little bit, it's all relative. That 1 car length in the middle of this tight, twisty section. Into police they go. Advantage, Gerard Schee, the 16-year-old, won the race yesterday, started on pole out of Moorish corner. Moorish Hill onto Donna Maria, into the long left-hander.
And now what's happening behind is exactly what he needs, because Leung is having to defend from Andy Chang now. That battle starting to take up attention, but Charles Leung comes into the hairpin. A little bit of a different line, I reckon, by Gerard Schee. He always seems to be on the verge of overshooting it. It's all under control, but it just sometimes catches you out that he seems to come in a little bit deeper than you might anticipate. But it works because, look, 2, 3, maybe 4 lengths up now.
And it's about breaking the toe, not allowing your pursuing car to be too close, and therefore you get the advantage when you come into the braking zone for Lisboa. At the moment, there's a bit of a gap, but the toe is certainly being given to Andy Chang by Charles Leung in second place. This is the battle. The leader has broken a little bit more clear, and as they come across the line, the advantage over 1 second, 1.1, because the battle is on for second place. Andy Chang pulls out. They're going to be side by side. Charles Leung, the double winner, he indicates out of the car.
Saying, let's work together, stop fighting me, let's go after the leader, because they've held themselves up. So now he's saying, right, you go after him. I'm just going to sit here behind. They've got to work together here. Charles Leung understands that. Let's hope Andy Chang does as well. And as they get towards the end of the straight, the gap is down to the eye, isn't it, between the top two?
It certainly is. Through Lisboa they go, and up towards San Francisco Hill.
That was a mistake by Gerard Schee, wasn't it? Bit of a wobble as he came into view.
Easy to make a mistake. It's acceleration. We saw a problem coming out of San Francisco Hill. It's rare that you get a car hitting the barriers. We did earlier on today, and into Lisboa. Nose in to Lisboa. It's all gone rather wrong down there. Can't identify the car as yet, but it's going to require a bit of help.
Yes, completely broken front corner. So both front wheels missing. Safety car again, and there's another car involved. This might be a rather more dramatic incident than you would first think. One of the cars that is involved there is Henry Lee Jr., so he is out. But I just wonder whether the other car has gone over his rear wheel, gone over the back of him maybe. We'll get a replay perhaps in a moment, as that car is about to be lifted out of the way. Henry Lee Jr. has had a tough weekend, the GT racer and touring car racer, because he's been in the wars at least twice. So we go safety car again.
So, 3 laps completed. We have had racing.
Here we go. Patrick Sang getting it wrong and does clip the back of Henry Lee's car, so that's one corner broken. There's nowhere he can turn, and the trajectory puts him straight into the tyre stack. So, having missed yesterday's race because of damage in qualifying, he's not got many laps in today either.
Good to see the replays to find out the story of the retirement of 2 cars from the Formula 4 field. But now, got to do all that work again behind the safety car to get ready for the restart, which for Gerard Shee on that occasion was a really good restart. He was able to break away from the battling Charles Leung in second place and Andy Chang in third. Then they got involved in their battle between the two of them. That needs to pull back before it can go up. So
Might be right, yeah.
it's going to take a few moments.
The crane is on its way, or at least the jib is, the ropes are coming down. Now, of course, what this has done is facilitate exactly what Charles Leung needed. In other words, for Andy Chang to get up with the race leader. He was saying, let's work together and go after him. Well, the safety car has helped because the gap's come down. They are now up with the leader and they are ready to attack once more.
And that was superb deciphering of what was going on. You're absolutely right. Yeah, that's what we need to do. I just saw the hand coming out of the cockpit, and that's the way to do it. Oh, no, it needs to come back. Oh.
Danger is you do more damage.
Well,
you'd argue you can't do much more.
That was my worry. I
yeah.
thought the car had to be pulled back before it could go up, but just looked to be deep enough into the tyres there. But I am not an expert on recovery of vehicles. We'll leave it to the experts that are down on the track. The experts that are driving are doing the right thing at the moment. They're weaving. Temperature in tyres, absolutely critical for the potential restart. And oh no, they've done well. So it's in the air. Always looks a little bit inelegant when they're lifting a race car off the circuit like that, but it's hugely effective to get racing back underway as quick as possible.
Number 17 going through there, which is Wei Chu Yin, who was 9th last year in the Grid Motorsport entry. So our second safety car period, and it has nicely bunched up the race leaders here. So hopefully this should be the last lap of the safety car, shouldn't it? We ought to be able to get back to racing this time around. We're about to go through the incident zone. You'll see the other side of the barriers, the cars that have been retrieved. So the speed will now quicken. This is another reason why many a race director prefers to use a safety car than just full course yellows, because the safety car can go quicker under regulations than can the delta speed you set for full course yellow. So full course yellow slows everybody down, but then for the release to get the tyres up to temperature, you can put the safety car out, it'll go faster, bring the pace of the race up.
And it has been going fast, hasn't it, today? The Lamborghini Urus, very impressive car that. Had a little moment at the Macau hairpin today. I don't think we'll be talking about that for too many years.
But it underlines the job that is done and how quickly you've got to go. So the field then now getting set to go racing once more. This is lap 5 out of the 12. So still half the race to go, and the driver's now getting set ready for that restart. Safety car in this time, as Alan has said, and it gives Andy Chang a chance to attack Gerard Shee. I'm intrigued to see what Charles Leung does. Does he have a go at both of them, or does he just sit tight and let Chang do the hard work and try and open the door?
We are about to find out, and it's going to be a fascinating restart, this one, because it's different to the one before. It was Charles Leung who was in second place. Andy Chang was applying the pressure to the back of Charles Leung, which is perhaps why he wasn't able to challenge the leader. But this is a reverse of positions for second and third, so we'll wait and see just how this pans out. The teams down at the garages are fairly keen to see how it's going to pan out, and it's all going to start from now, because they are around the Melco hairpin. The pace will pick up, and the story of this restart is about to unfold.
It is indeed, then, as the cars weave their way down again towards the timing line. The race direction team will give the instruction that this time around the green flag can be shown and we will go racing. and down into Fisherman's they will come. So Gerard Shee, who's not raced here before, has been driving like a veteran, it's got to be said, over the course of the weekend. Very, very talented young driver, comes from Hong Kong. And after what's been an outstanding season in national F4 and Formula Renault competitions, his year could take even more praise, more credit, with a win in the Macau Grand Prix. So as they head into our bend, safety car peels in, and Gerard Shee is up to now proper race pace as he accelerates into the corner, with Andy Chang going after him, and Charles Leung sits tight in third place as we go racing again here at Macau.
Advantage already for the race leader. I had a feeling that Andy Chang was going to be able to stick with him for a moment, but not able to do so. Now, this is the important part, the toe. And all three of them going together once again. Grandstand view for Ling Cheng. If this all goes wrong, we could see him on the top step of the podium, because these three are absolutely tied together. Andy Chang's having a look. He jinks out to the left-hand side of the race leader's car. Is he going to get a wheel in front? Is he going to be able to? He does. So Andy Chang takes the lead of the race by the time they get to the right-hander at Lisboa.
Now Charles Leung all over the back of Gerard Shee, but Gerard Shee needs to try and stay with Chang so he can do the same a lap later coming down to Lisboa. It's all about the toe on that first part of the lap. So the Champ Motorsport team very pleased. Andy Chang, who went off at Lisboa yesterday, has redeemed himself now, but Gerard Shee will, along with Charles Leung, know that they need to work together to get back onto terms with Andy Chang. But right now the leader is doing his best to pull away. They're heading towards the Solitude S's, and at this part of the lap, Chang 6 lengths clear.
Yeah, and yeah, he's already making good his escape. It was previously the advantage for Gerard Shee when Andy Chang and Charles Leung were battling away for second place. Well, now the advantage is for Andy Chang. The advantage really has swung over to Andy, and he's trying to make good his escape while the two of them battle away for second place. He's doing a good job of it at the moment. We'll see what the gap is at the end of this lap, but at the moment it's almost like he's been allowed to make up for the error yesterday. Sorry.
I was going to say, I can't believe that Charles Leung is going to be content to just sit there third behind Gerard Shee, especially he'll be aware that the leader is getting away, and again there's that wide approach from Gerard Shee into the hairpin.
Maybe the plan of working together with Andy Chang to attack Shee is not going to play out correctly for Charles Leung. Maybe a tactic that's not going to quite work out, but we are on the half-distance lap. That's surprising. I didn't realise that. That caught up with us.
Gerard Shee is fading. That's what's puzzling me here, because Andy Chang, okay, I know he got pole position, but he has just gone storming away over, what, 3/4 of a lap, comes over the line. That gap's going to be over a second, I would predict, as he comes through now. He's done the fastest lap of the race, no surprise there. It is over a second. It's nearly 2 seconds, 1.7. And Charles Leung is dropping back also from Gerard Shee. That gap is over a second. So neither Shee nor Leung close enough to the car ahead to benefit from the toe, at least not now.
The race yesterday was not indicative of the pace that Andy Chang has had this weekend. He was on pole position after qualifying. He was very determined every time the cars went onto the circuit to make up for the race last year, and shadowing Charles Leung, and now he's back at the front of the field. He is driving with that equal determination. He's done a great job putting in the fastest lap of the race at 2:28.283 compared to Gerard Shee in second place of 2:30.494. So significantly quicker, Andy Chang. There's no holding him back, is there? He's absolutely flying.
So what can Gerard Shee do about it? They're all improving lap times, of course, as the fuel load comes down, as we're back to a proper race pace, and as tyres get hotter. So Andy Chang working the car hard. Now is Gerard Shee just taking a little bit longer to get back up to a race speed and a race confidence level? Well, if he is, it might be too late, because Alan's right, Andy Chang is storming away. But equally mystifying is that Charles Leung is falling away as well. But there's barely another car in shot. There is Andy Chang. Wait.
Yeah, wow.
The margin is huge now over Gerard Shee. So Andy Chang doing a very good job. There is Shee in second place, but Charles Leung is not close enough to him to think about attacking.
Talk about determination. This is pretty impressive by Andy Chang. He really wants his name on the Macau Grand Prix trophy. Around Melco he goes, and he can pick his line. He can absolutely pick his line. He's got such an advantage over Gerard Shee in second place and Charles Leung in third place. Now, the important thing about this is Andy Chang cannot afford to make a mistake. He's really putting in some quick laps. The most tiny of mistakes could see a clip of a barrier, a clip of a wall, and all of that advantage would be nothing. So, up towards the line they come. They're going to be completing 7 laps on this lap. Up towards the line comes Andy Chang, our race leader, car number 8 across the line. It was a fastest lap on the previous lap. He's been on his own on this lap as well.
So he's been the runner-up for the last 2 years to Charles Leung. He does not intend to do that for 3 years in succession. There in second place, Gerard Shee, the man that started on pole, but he's 2.9 seconds back, and Charles Leung 1.8 behind him.
Andy Chang put in another fastest lap of the race. He was all on his own. He was able to pick his own lines. A 2:28.202 compares to Gerard Shee in second place, a 2:29.433. So he really is, Andy Chang, absolutely flying.
Royce Yu coming up onto the back there of Eugene Shee as they come down towards Lisboa, but Royce Yu not able to find a way through there. So lead gap stretching, second to third gap stretching as well as the cars now head up San Francisco Hill for the 8th time of asking in this 12-lap Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix. Royce Yu hustles along in their 7th place. But up front, Andy Chang driving like a master, isn't he? Having only been third on the grid, having made his mistake yesterday, he's got that all out of his system. And having hit the front, is looking absolutely dominant right now.
He is driving with the determination of a driver who has been runner-up twice. That is what he's doing. He doesn't want to do that again. And he's trying to do everything in his power to make sure that that's not going to happen for a third consecutive year.
Now that's Gerard Shee, who has certainly shaken off Charles Leung, who in this race, whisper it, is a bit underwhelming because he's just nowhere, is he, in terms of the second place car, never mind the pace of the race leader. But Gerard Shee comes out of Donna Maria, still pressing on in the Smart Life Racing entry. He comes into the braking zone for the hairpin, but unless Andy Chang is asking too much of his tyres, I don't think Gerard Shee is going to be able to come back at him.
Yeah, the one thing Andy Chang will be absolutely aware of is no tiny error. Cannot afford to do that. He's got this advantage. He's built it up. It's exactly what he needed to do. He's done exactly textbook what he needed to do to break that toe. A quick look in the mirror just to make sure where Gerard Shee is. And around the final turn to complete lap number 8 out of 12. And Andy Chang, another glance in the mirror as he comes towards the very, very fast Mandarin out of the corner on the run down towards Lisboa. Last lap was a 2:28.982 for Andy Chang at the front of the field. The advantage 3.2. The gap has come down.
Yeah, it wasn't his best lap, but it was still fractionally quicker than that of Gerard Shee. So there is the lead situation on this 9th lap of the 12 as they come down towards Lisboa once more. So Gerard Shee doesn't have to worry about Charles Leung. He just has to somehow get into the toe once more. If he can get close enough, if he can get close-ish, then the slipstream effect will do the rest of the work for him. He doesn't have to drive himself up onto the back of the leader. The toe will do that, but he's out of range, and he needs Andy Chang to make a mistake, to just run a little bit deep, to just drop his pace by, a second on the lap, and suddenly he's back at the races. So he needs Chang to make an error, but right now the very experienced Andy Chang doesn't look like he's going to do that.
Yeah, the effects on these Formula 4 cars of the slipstream is huge. It's the equivalent of having a DRS button without having DRS on the car. It's quite incredible to watch the advantage that it gives you. Andy Chang made the most of it. He made the manoeuvre stick. He's now at the front of the field and just needs to keep that comfortable gap of 3 seconds or thereabouts over second place, and he can afford to pick his lines and take the optimum line around the Kia circuit here at Macau. It's Charles Leung, double winner, back-to-back wins in 2020 and 2021, 21 years old as well. And around Donna Maria goes our third place car, number 11. Charles Leung comes towards the Macau hairpin. You can see, threading his way around, Gerard Shi in second place. In turn, he can see the back of the leader's car, Andy Chang, car number 8. 9 laps are about to be completed at the end of this lap through Fisherman's up towards our bend. The final turn, a glance in the mirror to see just how far back. We're keen to know just how far back Gerard Shi is as well. We'll see in a couple of moments, because that is Andy Chang completing now 9 laps, and then we wait for the gap between himself and second place Gerard Shi. It's gone out, so it's 4.4 at the end of that lap.
It's gone out by 1.2 seconds, effectively.
That's incredible, isn't it?
That's the difference in lap time. 2:28.5, 2:29.7. Andy Chang is just looking unstoppable. With my tongue in my cheek, I ask whether he's got a Formula 3 engine or the Formula 4 engine, because that is just mighty pace, isn't it? But brilliant drive this by Andy Chang. He's not putting a wheel wrong, controlling the pace. And I bet Charles Leung's rather regretting now, saying, all right, go past and we'll work together, because he's just in a different league, Andy Chang.
Yeah, absolute determination. He has driven that way all through the 4 days of the Macau Grand Prix this year. And it was only just that little unpleasant race that he had yesterday. Well, now the fight back through the field is rather proving to have been very well done, isn't it? He leads the race.
Well, he leads it by 4.4 seconds. So unless that car merges with one of the many barriers, then he's odds on for the win here. We've got the cars on lap 10, so 2 to go at the end of this.
Wiggle there, David.
It's always on the edge, isn't it?
Really pushing on, isn't he?
And does he need to? Okay, he's got a big gap, but you know, you don't need to win by 4 seconds. 4/10 will do.
I think he has just that one mode, really. He does tend to push on.
Might be right. So there he is with such an advantage now over a somewhat crestfallen Gerard Shi, I would have thought, because the weekend looked so good for him. But Andy Chang's pace, we know how good that was because of qualifying. It's being shown to us once again. He comes down towards the Macau hairpin then. 2 laps to run into the braking zone. Deep in, tight through the corner. There is Gerard Shi in second place.
I think the gap may have extended even more on this lap. We'll wait and see when they get down to complete lap number 10. There's going to be 2 laps to go at the end of this. Keeping it neat and perfect. Can't afford any kind of tiny error, can Andy Chang at the front of the field. On the run down towards the completion of lap number 10. He's got the fastest lap of the race. The only car to have been into the 28s, and did it by a good margin as well. 2:28.202, the fastest lap. The previous lap, 2:28.5. What's this lap going to be for the race leader, Andy Chang? It's a 2:28.6, so consistent quick laps coming in for Andy Chang. The gap has gone out again. Andy Chang is flying. It's 5.1 seconds now.
It is incredible, especially given that they're all in the same type of car. You know, it's the same car, tyre, engine combination across the board. Gerard Shi is 5 seconds back. If you want to put it all in context even further, Charles Leung, winner for the last 2 years, is only third, and he's 8 seconds away from the race leader.
Yeah, that is quite a statistic, isn't it? As the leader makes his way through Lisboa with a bit of a tyre squeal as he went through the right-hander. Then up San Francisco Hill he goes, and to be getting an advantage of near enough a second per lap. This is the determination of someone that wants to win the Macau Grand Prix in the 69th running of the event. 1.5 laps to go for Andy Chang. Well, I'll be interested to hear in the press conference, if we get a translation of the press conference, about the signalling from Charles Leung to Andy Chang. Was it perhaps an indication that Charles knew maybe the car wasn't quite up to it today? Maybe there was a problem with the car, and let's not battle, you go through, off you go.
I would be surprised about that, because better than nothing would be second place, but we'll find out, no doubt. But bear in mind also that Andy Chang has done single-seater racing for the best part of a decade now, whether it's been Formula 3 in Asia or in Europe, whether it's been Formula 4. He's done many a lap around the gear circuit. So maybe this is just confidence as much as anything, overcoming Gerard Shee, who again is deep into the Macau hairpin. But for Andy Chang, a lifelong dream to win the Macau Grand Prix looks as though it is going to be coming, because he will have one lap to go at the end of this, down towards Fisherman's, and then our bend he comes. But you're right when you say he's flying. The gap has been going up by the best part of a second a lap. He comes down now towards our bend, through that long right-hander, up now towards the timing line. Onto the last lap of the Grand Prix goes Andy Chang. That lap was a 2:28.4, not his best, but a lap time that just about everybody else would dream of, and that is 0.8 quicker than the man behind him.
Keep it neat, keep it tidy, and a dream could come true in one lap's time of the gear circuit here at Macau. Andy Chang, once he's taken the lead, he has just consolidated that advantage. A glimpse in the mirror. There's nothing there, Andy. You'll not see anything. You will now, but he's a long way back. He is 5.8 seconds back at the conclusion of lap number 11 through Lisboa. Neat and tidy. Keep it neat and tidy through San Francisco Hill. Now, the climb, and that's quite a climb on the San Francisco Hill, up towards the tight and twisty section on the Macau gear circuit. This has been superb by Andy Chang. He has not looked back. He made the most of the second safety car restart. He was through. He was pulling away from Gerard Shee, and now he has about half a lap to maintain at the front of the field, and a dream could be coming true.
Could it ever? Brilliant drive this by Andy Chang. From third place, battled his way past Charles Leung, and then set off after Gerard Shee, caught past and pulled away easily, and he's kept on pulling away. He has not been prepared to settle, has he, at any point? And the lap times, even though they're not as good as they were, are still better than anybody else. Other people are still setting personal best laps, and they're not as good as his slower laps, just to again put everything in the context here of what a mighty performance this has been by the race leader.
And through the long left-hander at Donna Maria goes Andy Chang, car number 8, and all he has to do is keep everything neat and tidy. He can afford to slow down a little bit. He's coming out of the Macau hairpin by the time Gerard Shee is approaching the Macau hairpin, and this is going to be quite a moment, isn't it? The final few elements of the gear circuit for Andy Chang, and he comes down. His advantage at the end of the last lap was almost 6 seconds, and he is within sight of winning the Macau Grand Prix.
The checkered flag is at the ready. The 69th Macau Grand Prix, the Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix, is going to be won by the Macau driver then, because Andy Chang comes across the line to win on home soil, and he wins by a mighty margin from Gerard Shee, who takes second place. The gap at the flag, 5.9 seconds. And the winner for the last 2 years is a distant third as Charles Leung comes across the line. Li Cheng takes fourth ahead of Jin Fang. And then in sixth place, it is going to be Royce Yu. But what a drive by Andy Chang. The Macanese driver dominates the race, and that is the biggest win of his career, no doubt about it. And you can see what that means to him.
Dreams can come true, and it's hard work, dedication, and in that race, and yesterday's race actually, working his way through the field, complete and utter determination. Wow, wow, wow. A win for Andy Chang. Didn't want to be 3 times a bridesmaid, that's for sure. And Andy Chang is going to enjoy every moment of this on the slow-down lap. Can you imagine the things that are now going through his mind as the other drivers knocking on the top of his helmet? There's an element of disbelief, I think, there inside the car. He's done it. I've done it. This is where I come from. It's Macau. It's my Grand Prix, and I've just won it.
And there is still a feeling, because of the lack of drivers from this region that have made it to Formula One, that the level isn't as good as it is in Europe. Now, you can go away and discuss that amongst yourselves later, but that drive by Andy Chang, you can only beat who you're up against. He did not put a wheel wrong. He pushed all the way through. He set the fastest lap of the race. He had to do overtaking. He had to control the restart. What else do you want from him?
Well, I want him to change gear if he would, because he's had his hand on his helmet for the last series of turns. He's still in utter disbelief.
Great drive,
so seeing him in Parc Fermé is going to be something to behold, isn't it? And to see the team in Parc Fermé, that's when you realise just how big this is, just how important it is. Confirmation, Andy Chang, Wing Chung. Champ Motorsports entered Macau, wins the Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix. Gerard Shi, who won the race yesterday, finishes in second place. Charles Leung in car number 11, double winner over the last couple of years in third place. And we wait for them to arrive down in Parc Fermé, and it is going to be quite a celebration.
It is. You always know when a driver has done something huge in their career, important to them, momentous for them, because it's a slow in lap as they soak it all in. And evidence of that is how many cars have got past Andy Chang. It's not just another race, it's not just another win. This matters hugely. I suspect it might be quite an emotional Andy Chang.
I think you're right. Quite a few of them sort of slowed down, went alongside, and I think we're congratulating him, because that was a mighty drive, and I think that wouldn't be lost on the rest of the field. He was so pushing on. You saw the car at one stage twitching. He was pushing on throughout that race. Once he got into the lead of the race, there was no stopping him.
The klaxon sound, the applause comes, and those watching from their apartments will have witnessed a great drive over at the Malco hairpin. So as the field comes through, there is a very disappointed Gerard Shea taking second place. Charles Leung perhaps even more disappointed, because he, in the end, I know he slowed down on the last lap, but he was 14 seconds adrift of the race leader. But perhaps it was Gerard Shea that we expected more from, but he just had no answer.
He's still got his hand on his head as he makes his way around, takes the hand off, waves to the marshals, and this is a slow down lap, I think, of disbelief, relief. This is what I've been working towards for the last umpteen years, and finally it's come true. 2 years of being second must have been a really bitter pill to swallow, and he's attacked this weekend from the outset with huge pace, and that was shown. He's got the fastest lap of the race. He's won the race, 2:28.2. Only two cars were in the 28s in the end. Gerard Shea put in a 2:28.9.
And he kept getting faster and faster as well, didn't he? Once he'd taken that fastest lap, he wasn't prepared to just sit back. He kept on pushing, so building up the lead. And that could have tripped him up, but he kept on going as he gets a great reception as he arrives at the foot of the race control building here. P1 for the Macau Grand Prix is a very special accolade. And for 2022, it goes to Andy Chang. Our representatives of Sands China and the chief executive of Macau SAR as well, who will be on hand to present trophies shortly. And what better for the Macau Grand Prix than a Macau winner? Andy Chang steps from the car, and now it all hits home. But what a day for Macau, a winner of the gear race, a winner of the Grand Prix.
Isn't that lovely to see? Celebrating with the team. Quite a hug there. And of course, the world's press are there to photograph this moment. This, for me, is what motorsport is all about. Seeing the emotion, the visor comes up on the helmet, and you see just how much this means. Lovely scenes in Parc Fermé. When you win the Macau Grand Prix, you get a Parc Fermé all to yourself. And a thumbs-up photograph. Doesn't know where to look. Look at
so many photographers bossing him about.
lenses.
Stand here, do this. It's my win, he thinks. Let me celebrate how I want.
This is a really special moment. Really special.
Brilliant job.
And that was a really special drive.
It was. Absolutely it was. He, like I say, had to overtake, had to control the restarts. He had to pull away, and it was exemplary. It really was.
So the helmet finally comes off. I think he needed to be reminded to take the helmet and the gloves off by the team. And it is at moments like this that you do forget simple things. What am I doing next? Right. What comes next? Podium.
Yes.
You've been on the podium before. You know what comes next. But he did have the presence of mind to remember to put the steering wheel back on the car. I was impressed by that. Very professional. Could have got carried away with the moment and forgotten that. It's an important part of getting out of the car.
So face mask on, but you can still tell that there's a big smile there. Andy Chang breathing heavily.
You can see how heavily he's breathing, can't you?
Poses again for the snappers. And it's going to be quite a party tonight.
This is a lovely moment. He's getting pulled everywhere. We want a picture. No, we want a picture. What about with the car? Yeah, okay, you can do it with the car. We'll have a podium before 6 o'clock tonight. And
steady.
That's a lot easier. That's the shot. That's the important shot.
Macau driver wins Macau Grand Prix. Andy Chang has conquered all in the Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix. Leaps off the car. And he's loving every minute of this.
He is. He said, "Is that what you want? You want me to jump? Yeah, okay, I'll do a jump."
Done everything else you wanted me to do. Might as well do that.
He's being choreographed by the photographers. This is a lovely, lovely moment.
In contrast, the rather po-faced Gerard Shee and Charles Leung making their way from Parc Fermé to the podium as well, where they're going to be greeted in their disappointment by a beaming Andy Chang.
He's going to be emotional as well.
He is,
National anthem on the top step of the podium. Wow.
Well, that's to come. That's the last track activity of the 69th Macau Grand Prix, but we'll have the podium ceremony very shortly. What a weekend it has been of great racing, of drama, of damage, of discussion points, and for the local press, for the event, perhaps, there could not be a better outcome than 2 home winners of 2 of the marquee races.
I've clearly been in far too many Parc Fermés over the years because I was just enjoying that shot of Andy Chang's car, just having a look how good a condition the tyres were in, and they look pretty good to me. After 12 laps around the gear circuit here at Macau.
And that could be another element to the strength, that perhaps they deliberately saved back a fresh set of tyres for today and were prepared to sacrifice yesterday or use old rubber or a mix of new and used rubber yesterday, because the tyre element of that important as well. But however you frame it, it was a great drive by Andy Chang.
It was superb, very entertaining. We've had a good deal of entertainment over the course of 4 days here in Macau. Free practice day, a qualifying day and 2 race days. Today being, of course, Grand Prix day, and the big highlight, the presentation of 12 laps of the gear circuit for the Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix, and a new name is going to be engraved on the winner's trophy. That of Andy Chang.
And so very shortly, when they get to the podium, Dr. Wilfred Wong, the president of Sands China Limited, will present to the 3rd and the 2nd place drivers, and Mr. Ho Yat Seng, the chief executive of the Macau SAR, will hand the trophy to the home driver, to, as it says on his overalls, Andy Chang, or Chang Wing Chung, to give him his birth name. But it's a very, very happy Andy Chang, who has strived for so long, came to Europe, had an awful lot to learn, circuits, car, tracks, culture, team, everything. And he came back to this region a stronger driver. And we touched on Ling Kang in the GT race in a similar vein. And just because people don't necessarily make it in a given season doesn't mean you should write them off completely. That was a fantastic drive by Andy Chang.
A lot more people the world over will know the name of Andy Chang following today, and that can do his career in motorsport no harm at all. That'll go top of the list on the CV.
Indeed.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, deservedly so. As I say, it might have been down to good choice of when to use a new set of tyres, but it doesn't matter. He won, and he outdrove everybody, and he outraced everybody. And he didn't look ragged. He was on the limit all the time. Those lap times that you were talking about, Alan, were not only fast, they were consistent.
You know,
his last lap was only 6/10 away from his best, and he could afford to back off on the last couple of corners. He was quick all the way through that.
So we await a podium presentation for the Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix, which I warn you in advance could potentially be quite an emotional moment for Andy Chang and the team and the family and everyone around the podium, because it's a Macau driver who's going to be climbing onto the top step of the podium for the Macau Grand Prix, and that is something very special indeed. The scene is set, the preparations have been made, the trophies are in place, and so too are the presenters. The girls for the podium, either ends of the podium, and we are about to hear the circuit announcer introduce the start of the podium presentation.
So the doors open for the dignitaries at one side.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Our podium for the Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix. Third place driver, number 11, Leung Hon Chiu from Macau. Congratulations. Second place driver, number 3, Xie Wing Lam Gerard from Hong Kong. And our winner for this race, number 8, Chang Wing Chong, local driver. National anthem for the winner. Now, may I have the honor to invite Dr. Wilfred Wong, President of Sands China Limited, to present the trophies to our third place driver and second place driver. First to number 11, Leung Hon Chiu. Congratulations. Now to Xie Wing Lam Gerard. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Hoya Singh, Chief Executive of the Macau SAR government. And I'll invite Mr. Hoya Singh to present the trophy to our winner, number 8, local driver Chang Wing Chong. Congratulations. May I also invite Dr. Wilfred Wong to come forward to the podium for a group photo. Please get closer to the middle for a group photo. Thank you, Mr. Hoya Singh, Chief Executive of the Macau SAR, and thank you, Dr. Wong. Ladies and gentlemen, champagne time. Racing drivers have been waiting for this moment.
So the champagne is there.
Let the court
Trophies
fly
are there.
and enjoy the moment.
And Andy Chang is about to celebrate the biggest win of his career. Andy Chang is the winner of the Macau Grand Prix. It's a delighted team standing in the pit lane, the Champ Motorsport team. And as Andy Chang gets an absolute soaking by Gerard Shi, he doesn't care one bit. The disappointed Charles Lung, but he's had his 2 wins. Andy Chang hands the bottle down to the engineers that have given him such a good car. And then the drivers on the podium collect trophies, and we'll head to the press conference. But Andy Chang, an absolutely outstanding drive.
Quite a moment, that's standing on the podium.
Congratulations again. And that was
hearing the